Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Miko and I ride some motorcycles. I wanted to make a video on how I started riding motorcycles in the first place and what I've learned along the way. It's only been about 5 months since I've started riding. I started riding the end of January and it's now end of June. I wrote some notes down, like things I wanted to touch on. Yeah, let's get into it. I'm waiting for the sirens. Yes. Anyway, I wanted to preface this by saying I'm not an expert in motorcycles. I don't study them on the daily or anything like that. This is just my experiences and what I've came across and what I've learned. So yeah. The first thing I'm gonna get into is how I got started, and I actually was very against the motorcycles and I did not want one at all. My husband actually wanted a motorcycle for like years and I always said no. And then one day he pulls up to the dealership and I'm like, what are we doing here? And then he's like, oh, we're just looking. We were not there to just look, apparently. He goes around and then he sees the Husqvarna Vitpulin 401. He ended up liking that one, picked it up. I was backpacking that for a while and then I ended up hating being backpacked because it just hurt my back and I was just not having a good time on it. I got into a car accident in 2018 that messed up my back and my neck, so it's always sore, and I've been seeing a chiropractor, which has been helping, so it's been good. When I was backpacking, it hurt my back so badly. I wanted to get off like all the time. Like I couldn't even last like 20 minutes being backpacked and it sucked. I was just complaining until he was kind of just like, okay, do you want to get a motorcycle then? Like, do you want to get your own? I was like, okay. Before I started looking for motorcycles, we also tried to do like him on a bike and me in a car, but it was like not the same. It didn't feel fun, I guess. Motorcycles can pretty much like zip through traffic and, you know, lane split. So there's a lot of traffic here in California. I'm not able to lane split. So then I started looking for motorcycles for myself and I didn't really know, like the only bike I knew of was the Ninja 400. So I was looking at the Ninja 400 and then the Yamaha R3, BMW G310R, Honda Rebel 500. I was looking at them because they were recommended for short riders. And then I found this bike, which is the 2024 cfmoto 450 SS. It was on a blog for bikes that were good for short riders. And I've never seen it before. I've never heard of cfmoto before. Started looking into it, saw that it was this Chinese brand. I was skeptical because we all know like Chinese quality things from like AliExpress. So I was looking more into it, saw that they were partnered with KTM. Fun Bike Center here in San Diego had one of these in stock. Saw this, and then right next to it was the 2024 Yamaha R3, and it was like that white and like teal color, and it looked so good, but it was a little more expensive than this. And I sat on both of them, this and the R3. Low-key, like the R3 was a little more comfortable than this, and I could get more of my foot on the ground. So I was like, oh, I kind of like the R3. And guys, I didn't know anything about like CC, like how fast bikes go. Like I had no idea. Never ridden a motorcycle. And then I was kind of leaning towards the R3 because like I really loved the colors, and the rims were like that teal color, so I really liked that. I asked the sales rep to run the numbers and to give me like how much both of these costed, both this and the R3. And the R3 turned out to be like, I think it was like a couple hundred more or like $1,000 more. I can't really remember, honestly. So I started looking at both of them, and the display this bike has, my phone connects to it, like my music. I could change my music from these buttons here. I don't know, this just has like a lot more features that the R3 didn't have. That just kind of like made it more, I don't know, appealing. Also, this bike comes with a Brembo in the front, so that was already like cool. So yeah, I ended up picking this up brand new. I wouldn't recommend picking up a brand new bike from a dealer if it's your first bike, or honestly, like ever. I just did because these are hard to come by used. We didn't really know anything about motorcycles to begin with, so just if you're looking for a bike, I suggest going on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, and anything like that. So if you don't have a bike yet and you're thinking about getting a bike and you just don't know if you'll like it or whatever the case may be, you should take the MSF course. Well, you should take the MSF course even if you're sure that you like bikes. Yeah, if you don't know, you should take the MSF course. It does cost kind of a lot. It costed me like $415. It was a 2-day class that was in person, and then you had like an online course pretty much. And that took me like 3 to 5 hours, if I remember correctly. They pretty much teach you a good amount, I would say, not everything. They teach you like slow speed maneuvers, like swerving, emergency braking, stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend taking that course, whether you know that you want to ride or not. Also, to me, the $400 was worth paying to get out of the DMV test, because I know the DMV test is a little tougher, especially if you're new to riding. You gotta like do that 20-foot circle both ways, and then you gotta like do the slow speed weaving, and there's other stuff, but yeah, honestly, the $400 was worth to not do that. But you do have to take the written test, which is pretty easy. I did it right in my living room online, and then I was ready to just go to the DMV, and then they gave me my M1. One thing that I learned is people CC shame. I don't know, like it's kind of like weird. Like if you have like a 400 and like someone else has like a 600 or like a 1000, they would kind of just like look down upon you, like, oh, you have a 400, you're slow, whatever. I would say don't let that get to you, because if you're just starting out, especially if you're starting out, you should definitely get a lower CC bike, unless you're really tall or you're just heavier. Then at that point, I feel like a 600 would basically be a 400. I would suggest getting like a 300 to 400, maybe a 500, or you can get a little Grom or like a Z125 and then just start zipping through the city and then stunt it. Low-key, I do want a Grom because I want to start trying to do wheelies and stuff. Ooh, one thing before I started riding, I would have the random thoughts of like, oh, maybe I can ride a motorcycle, or like I would just randomly think of me on a motorcycle, and I literally thought it was impossible because everybody I saw on a motorcycle was tall or taller than me, which is most people. I'm 4'11", so I'm like, okay, riding a motorcycle is off the table because I'm 4'11", and it's literally impossible. But it is not. So if you're as short as me or even shorter, you can definitely ride a motorcycle. Like I said, I'm 4'11", and my feet don't flat foot this bike at all. Not even close. You know what? I never really thought about it, but I can't even... Oh, I can. So I can get both my tip toes on the ground at the same time, but I can't flat foot. I'm like stretching my feet. But when I'm coming to a stop, you can just like... I never get my full foot on the ground. Usually just like this at a stop. So I get my forefoot on the ground, which is honestly enough for me. So all that to say that you're not too short to ride a motorcycle. Also, if you're not comfortable with having just your tiptoes on the ground like I have them, you can always lower your bike. I know people say don't do that, you'll mess up the geometry of the bike, but that is only when you're like knee down on a track. I know some tracks don't even allow lowered bikes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it's really only if you're tracking your bike, or if you're in the canyons and you want to beat your time. I don't know if you're doing some crazy maneuvers like that, but if you're just like using this to commute, if you're going around the city, literally if you're doing any normal riding, lowering your bike will be fine. So yeah, you could do that, or you could get some platform shoes. I used to ride with platform boots my first like 2 months of riding, just because it gave me more confidence on the bike. I've also seen these things, I think they're called like up bikers. They pretty much go on the front of your shoe and they give you like another inch or two, I'm not really sure. But I still dropped my bike 9 times, I think. But I, as you can see, fixed everything that was damaged, so it's all good. There's a lot of things you can do if you're vertically challenged to help you ride a motorcycle more confidently and safely. Another thing that I learned while riding is how important it is to ride your own ride. And what I mean by that is if you're in a group of riders and you guys are going to the same destination or whatever the case may be, don't try to play catch up. Just ride your own ride. Y'all will all have the same address. You will get there eventually, but don't try to keep up with the leader bikes. Don't try to keep up with the 600s, and then don't let them try to bully you into keeping up with them. You know what I mean? It's far more dangerous to try to keep up with other riders. Just ride your own ride and you'll be good. Ooh, another thing I did not realize was that gear is very expensive, okay? Like, gear might cost as much as your motorcycle, which is crazy. I don't know how much I've spent on gear, and I don't even want to do the math because it will make me sad. Gear is expensive. Quality gear is expensive. Those airbag vests, I actually want one of those. It's the A-Stars Tech Air something. I think it's called Tech Air 3. Those are like $700. But yeah, those leather suits, those tracksuits are like $1,000, $2,000 around there, and it's crazy. But they will make sure that you don't have road rash after a crash. Motorcycle boots, a motorcycle jacket, motorcycle pants, a good set of those will cost you around $1,000 at the very least, honestly. Factor that into your budget if you're trying to get a motorcycle, because you should. Gear is, like, I don't want to say optional, but it is optional. If you look at my riding videos, every single one of them, I'm wearing gear because I like feeling more safe on a motorcycle, because motorcycles aren't safe, okay? Like, it's impossible to ride a motorcycle safely because motorcycles are dangerous. We can only minimize the risk, and one of those things that you can do to do that is wear gear. But like I said, gear is optional, and you will see people who are not wearing gear. They're only wearing a helmet and they're not wearing any leathers, no jacket, no pants, no shoes, or no boots. But that is their decision, and I feel like I always see people on videos of people not wearing gear. I always see people like, oh, wait till they crash. We're gonna be scraping you off the side of the road when you crash. And it's like, those comments are so crazy to me, because it's like, what? I don't know. It's kind of like you're wishing an accident on someone, which is actually crazy. Like, you're literally crazy. And those comments are crazy to me just because it's like they're acting like the person who is not wearing gear, they're acting like they don't know what the risks are. Like, I just feel like if you're not wearing gear, you actively make that decision to not wear gear, and you know the risks of not wearing gear. I don't know why people make those comments. They're kind of like a waste of time. Anyway, I just recommend you wear gear just for the slide, not the ride. And if you don't, just make sure you know the risks that you're taking and make sure you're willing to take those risks. Along with the cost of gear, one thing I would definitely buy like over and over again is some kind of camera. That could be like an Insta360 X3 or like a GoPro, because that will save you, honestly. Like, if you get into an accident that isn't your fault, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel like 98% of motorcycle accidents are the rider's fault. But that's for another time. Anyway, but yeah, I do think you should get a camera just in case something does happen while you're out riding, so you can look back at any mistakes that you may have made. I've also noticed that some people on the road don't like bikers, so they'll purposely do stuff to like block you from lane splitting, or they'll purposely like swerve into you if they think you're going too fast, which is crazy. But you should definitely have a camera to capture moments like that. Definitely get yourself a camera. One thing I just thought of is slow speed maneuvers are harder than going 100+ miles per hour on the highway, and that's fact. Because have you seen those videos of those cops doing those like tight turns on their big ass bikes? Like, that shit is impressive. Like, that shit impresses me more than seeing somebody going 150 on the freeway. I'm saying this because I think it's important to learn slow speed maneuvers, so like U-turns and weaving through cones, stuff like that. And that's actually where I've dropped my bike. Every time I've dropped my bike, it's because I was not good with slow speed maneuvers, and I still practice slow speed maneuvers to this day. So if you're thinking about getting a motorcycle, this is your sign to get a motorcycle. Honestly, nothing compares to riding a motorcycle, and it's crazy hearing myself say that, because like I said in the beginning of the video, I was very against motorcycles, but nothing compares to riding a motorcycle. I have this one video. It was something like, name one thing that feels better than riding a motorcycle, and I was getting comments like snowboarding, skydiving, and those are like, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna say no, because I'm a snowboarder, right? So snowboarding, right, you have to pack up all your gear into a bag. You have to put those bags and your boots, your board, you have to stuff them into your car, right? You have to take your car, you have to drive to the mountain, whether it's like an hour away. From here, it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours or whatever, to Mountain High. Mountain High is the resort I usually go to. And then when you get there, you have to buy a lift ticket. And then after the lift ticket, you gotta gear up. And then, you know, like, you just gotta do all that shit just to snowboard. But if you're riding a bike, this is in your garage, bro. Like, you can just take this out and go ride your bike. Like, yeah, you have to put gear on, but that's like 5-10 minutes of your time. Like, it's not anything crazy. You know what I mean? Skydiving, same thing. You gotta drive to wherever the skydiving place is, and then you gotta wait for the plane to take off, and then that shit's expensive, and you're free falling for a minute. Like, I don't know. It's not something you can just pick up and go do. So yeah, nothing compares to riding a motorcycle. But let me know what you think. Like, if you think there's something else that does. Alright, well, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope it was informative, and let me know what else you'd like to see on my channel, because I just got this new camera, so I'm trying to film a bunch of videos and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know. Ride safe. Bye!